What are we supposed to do when we feel worried and anxious? What are we supposed to do when fear seems to overwhelm us? Well, from a Christian perspective, simply put, you and I are to pray with thanksgiving. Hi everyone, my name is Scott, and I want to bring you an encouraging word from the Bible. Philippians 4 verse 6 reads, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." So the Bible teaches us that in everything we're to let our requests be made known to God. As soon as we feel worried, as soon as we feel anxious, we're to give it to the one who has the ability, the power, and the wisdom to make things right. So that's pretty straightforward. But I also want to point out that the text tells us that we're to present our prayers with thanksgiving. And that's really important because God's not like an ATM, to whom we can just pull up to and make withdrawals from at will. Proper prayer is not about telling God what He needs to do for us, and prayer is certainly not the avenue for complaining about what our sovereign God is doing in His world. No, when we go to God in prayer, we need to express our thankfulness to Him, our gratitude towards Him. So how can we do that? I have 3 suggestions. Number 1, by remembering God's providence in the past. Think about the events of this year. As a nation, we've been through a lot in 2020, and I suppose if there was ever a year to be anxious about, this would be the year. But even so, God has been faithful to His people. Think back over His faithfulness up to this point and realize that it's His mercies that have sustained us. He's been with us through every trial. He hasn't abandoned us, nor has He forsaken us. So God's providence in the past is good reason to be thankful in prayer. So is submission to God's rule and reign in the present. Today, Jesus is still King. Our God is still sovereign. And so when we go to Him and thank Him in the middle of our trial or storm, it's like we're saying, "Lord, I don't understand, but I submit to your sovereignty in this situation. I trust that you know what you're doing and will work it and all things together for the good of those who love you." So acknowledging God's providence in the past and submitting to His sovereignty in the present are effective ways to promote thankfulness in prayer. And of course, we need to trust God with our future. We don't know what the immediate future will hold, but God does. Even though we don't see how He's going to accomplish it, God will meet our every need as we cast our anxieties upon Him. I really like Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 17, especially when I think about its context. Basically, Jeremiah was trapped in prison while King Nebuchadnezzar was besieging the city of Jerusalem, which was about to fall. And so it was in that situation that the Lord told Jeremiah to do something that everyone would have thought of as ridiculous. He wanted him to go buy a field from his uncle. And everyone knows that you don't sink your money into real estate when the country is about to fall at the hands of a foreign tyrant. But God wanted to show His people something. He wanted to show that houses and fields and vineyards shall again be bought in this land, according to Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 15. And that's when Jeremiah prays in verse 17, "Ah, Lord God, it is you who have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and by your outstretched arm, and nothing is too hard for you." So Jeremiah trusted in God's plan for the future of His people. He trusted that God would provide for them, that they would come back from slavery and once again live a life in their own land. I love Jeremiah 32 because it gives us great hope today. God is to be trusted with our future. So friend, whenever you're anxious, go to God in reverent, humble, and thankful prayer. And in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Thanks for watching.